So I want to give you an update on the US-China trade war, as yesterday China told the US to back off, and today now we've got a US response. So this was the headlines before. China tells US to back off on threats, warns of retaliation. Now you've got this today. Trump, Vance, open door to China deal as trade spat drags on, right? So China tells US to back off. And then suddenly now Trump and Vance are opening the door, and you can literally see it right there. Vance goes out on TV, though, and tries to make the case that USA has all the cards. Have a listen to this.
We were put in this position by failed leadership. It is a national emergency, and the president is doing everything that he can to get us out of this mess. It's not going to happen in 8 months. It's going to happen in some cases through negotiation, in some cases through bringing some of this critical supply back to the United States of America. But the president is committing to protecting America's economic livelihoods, but also making us more self-sufficient. And we've got to do both of those things at the same time. I'll be honest with you, Maria, it's going to be a delicate dance. And a lot of it is going to depend on how the Chinese respond. If they respond in a highly aggressive manner, I guarantee you the President of the United States has far more cards than the People's Republic of China. If, however, they're willing to be reasonable, then Donald Trump is always willing to be a reasonable negotiator. We're going to find out a lot in the weeks to come about whether China wants to start a trade war with us or whether they actually want to be reasonable. I hope they choose the path of reason. The President of the United States is going to defend America.
You know, the more I see Vance, and today seemed more obvious than other days, he comes across as really passive-aggressive to me. And I don't know if you guys picked up on that also. Because if you listen to his language, is like, we've got more cards and you just need to be reasonable or we're going to have to start using our cards on us. It's just basically making threats. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know if you guys read that the same way that I just read that, because he's saying, you know, why are you being so aggressive? Can't you just be reasonable and we got more cards? But it comes across as a threat to me. And I'm just looking at what he says. So I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts if you agree or disagree with that assessment. Then Trump comes out. He tweeted this about an hour ago. Don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it. President DJT. Now, when I read this, and Trump does this quite a bit, I feel like this is a confession kind of thing. Whenever he tweets out something, he's really talking about himself, because this is how Trump sees the world, right? So this one right here, don't worry about China, it would all be fine, meaning that Trump is really, really worried, trying to convince himself everything's okay. Highly respected, she just had a bad moment. Here, this is sort of how Trump thinks of, because Trump's getting old, right? You know, just had a bad moment kind of language. I guess that's the way that Trump thinks about himself all the time is, you know, every time he says something crazy, meaning Trump, he just had a bad moment. And that's sort of how you talk about, you know, family members who, what's the right word to say it, aren't mentally all there, right? Sometimes they're had a bad day, you'll say. He doesn't want depression for his country. You know, as you can see, Trump is trying to drive us off a cliff. So now we're talking about depression again. And USA wants to help China, not hurt it. And then every day it feels like, you know, Trump is attacking USA as he wants to fire everyone, et cetera. So like I was saying, when I see these things, I just feel like Trump is really talking about himself and the U.S. situation. But I'll let you guys be the judge if you agree or disagree. And I'm just showing you guys what they're saying here. The China then responded to the USA saying, this was before, threatening with high tariffs at every turn is not the right way to get along with China. If the U.S. persists in its own course, China will resolutely take corresponding measures to safeguard its legitimate rights and interests. And you can see the different language between the two countries. I also want to show you a little bit about from news from Korea, as it's slightly different than what you see in USA, because I'll just say this, they don't have any reason to not tell you the truth about stuff. In the USA, the sort of culture right now is Trump threatens news organizations, threatens, you know, talk show hosts, whatever, if you tell the truth about him. And it's different here in Korea. So this is from YTN. Basically, they run the same formula where they just show you what Trump says. They show you, and then they go through the numbers, basically saying, you know, if Trump tells you everyone's winning, we're all doing awesome, then they're like, well, it doesn't look like that way in the numbers. It doesn't look like that way for regular people, right? Be it the deficit is up, prices are up, etc. Then the USA now has Jamison Greer. This is our trade rep. And he's going to try to make the case that the USA is finding a replacement for China, because the problem is that China buys a whole bunch of soybeans from the U.S. and farmers are struggling, so we need to find another buyer. So who else could that be? Let's listen to Greer.
There will be some pots of money that will be deployed for a bridge for our farmers. We know our farmers don't want a handout. They want to trade. So one thing that my office is doing and the president is doing is we're also opening markets overseas. Cambodia has lowered its tariffs on soybeans already. Vietnam has done the same. A number of countries are doing purchase orders, and not just with soybeans, other row crops like corn, et cetera. So there's going, and we're looking at domestic uses of soybeans as well in fuels, et cetera. So there are multi-pronged approach to solving that issue.
Just my opinion, whenever I see Greer, I never feel like the guy's confident. I don't have any faith in the guy. Just how I see him. I mean, making the choice between Vance or Greer, I don't care for Vance, but at least Vance, has a semblance of confidence. I just it never comes across it with me with Greer, especially when he comes out in meetings with China. You can always see it in Greer's face. He's got a terrible poker face, the same way that Bessent does. But the basic gist, they're trying to make the case that we're going to use Cambodia and Vietnam to replace China as a buyer. And I'll just tell you the truth, guys, China is a massive buyer. It's a massive market, and it's not so easy to replace. Theoretically, you could try to replace China with India, right, in terms of population size, market size, etc. But good luck with that, because Trump has been burning bridges over there. That's just Trump's game plan, is to burn bridges everywhere. This is a comment from our community just a few seconds ago. I always check as I make a video, and I'll tell you guys, we have a great community, and I always encourage you to spend time reading through comments. It helps you get lots of different points of view. So this is someone that says, our fundamental problem is that we Americans took our country for granted. We stopped seriously participating in governance, even as conditions and freedoms steadily decreased year after year, leaving it to the politicians as if they were mere custodians. Now the wrong people have overwhelmingly seized power through decades-long campaign of manipulation and propaganda, and they have a good chance of keeping it until drastic action is taken to remove them. And I appreciate smart comments in our community. I seriously do, because if you look at the YouTube landscape, I'll just be honest with you guys, it's frankly dumb. I'm just telling you the truth. I know it sounds mean, but it's becoming more and more noticeable. And I'll just tell you this. I mean, the problem is, as he, this person aptly describes, is people just sort of expected democracy to always continue and just let other people do it. But honestly, part of making the system work and always be better is that you participate in it and do pay attention to this stuff. And yes, we do have the wrong people in power. I completely agree. This is actually coming from, this is interesting, this is actually coming from Korean news. They were showing the basically propaganda from the Trump administration. So from Trump, they put this stuff out on social media, the power of the golden age. And the basic gist of it is, I'll go through it here, you'll see. The Trump people like to basically show white guys. That's basically what ends up being, build your homeland, right? And essentially Trump and them, and because they build the future, whatever, it's all this propaganda and it's like the vast majority of the social media is just promoting white guys. Seriously, this is, and they were talking about in the Korean news. I think they looked at like most of the social media posts. There's only a few where they show a woman, or that's like the one right there. They show a woman or someone not white. They even show the Charlie Kirk stuff. This is probably Utah. I think that's where this might be. But they show like the singing concert, and they're just like, it's all white people, right? And the point they're trying to make, and this is on the Korean news, and they'll say in Trump, propaganda, media, whatever, there's never an Asian person. And that matters if you're in Korea and you just saw that Trump, arrested a lot of your, fellow people. And then they show, if you're in USA and you're black or brown, you're going to get arrested. That's what they're showing you right here. And you can't make this stuff up. And then they do show in USA that there are people protesting.
A mark of racism is a country where you can be stopped because of how you look. Apartheid South Africa is a great example of that, where you have to provide papers because of your appearance. That is unacceptable.
And then what they're showing here then is that, people who are not white are struggling. That's basically what they show you on the news in the USA.
But this is a racist plan that they are doing nationwide. Plain and simple. It's nothing else. It is racist. It is going to disenfranchise and disempower black and brown voters everywhere.
And so that's what we see in Korea. Then they also talked about in the Trump administration, it's like 80% of the his administration is white, very, very different than other administrations. And, you know, I understand that this is a very, very sensitive topic in USA. If you're a MAGA person, you say, no, Chris, you're so dumb. White people are the most qualified people in the whole world, and especially the white guys that Trump picks from Florida. They're the best people that the country has to offer. And I'll just say this, even Saturday Night Live makes fun of the Trumpers, and it's funny because the Trumpers, they know they're getting made fun of, and they just kind of roll with it, I guess. This is a Pam Bondi. I really encourage you to watch the Saturday Night Live. It says here, Secretary Noam, should we recreate this picture in Chicago, loving Amy Poehler? And they made a joke at Noam and Bondi. But the sad thing is, and I watched Saturday Night Live, and it was actually pretty good, the opening, and you can take a look at it, it's on YouTube. But it's sad is because this is the environment that we're in, to where all you have to do is sort of show who these people are, and you'll realize very quickly, man, these people are awful. And this is the choice that people have to make. For some, this would be the MAGA land. They think when a Pam Bondi, or we can talk about Brett Kavanaugh, remember him when he did his congressional hearings, they think in MAGA land that anger, right, when Trump gets angry or whoever, Vance gets angry, you better say your thank you, right? They think anger is strength and power. That's what they want to see. They want to see people angry because they were so angry all the time, right? No, seriously, that's for them. In their world, anger is strength and power, and that's what they look up to. I disagree with that. I don't necessarily want all of my leaders and everyone in administration to only come from one state, look sort of one way, have only sort of one religion, and be angry all the time. That's not necessarily the world that I want to live in. And the images that Trump has put out there in the social media, and I told you, it's being analyzed all around the world. It looks very similar to stuff that we've seen in the 1930s in a certain particular country that has mustaches, and you guys know which one. So I do appreciate your time, everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.